Hello, family. How y'all doing? Ooh, this is Mtima Radi, everybody. I'm recording this on the 19th, but I'm going to post it on the 21st. Why? I'll give you a second. Why? Alright, second is over. Because we are now on the 21st. We are 8 years from 2012. We are 8 years from 2012. The opening of the second gate, as it was. The going through the second gate, as it was. The interim period was, as Phil Valentine talked about, 2012 through 2020. Now, in optometry, 2020 means what? Perfect vision. Now, for us, every year prior to 2020, for 20 years, every year prior to 2020 was one step closer to getting to clarifying what was actually wrong in the world, where the problems were, why the problems were, and what we need to keep in our minds as we are moving forward. When you think of the last 20 years like that, and indeed 24 years, I mean, technically, I guess it started in 94 with the, I literally just had it and I forgot about it, and I forgot it that quickly. Give me 1 second. I got to think of this. All right, family, I'm back. The Dogon ceremony in 1994. I had to think about that, man. I can't believe I forgot that. Anyway, the countdown started in 1990. I'm sorry, I said 90. Yeah, 94. So the countdown started in 94. And it then went to 99, which was a bridge to 2000. The millennium, which in the Western tradition started in 2001, then began a slow march towards 2020. Now, I want you to think about what happened. I want you to really think about what happened over the past 20 years. By the way, just some green juice with some green tea, apple juice, and a little bit of crushed red peppers. I tend to put, by the way, for those of you who don't know yet, I tend to put a lot of crushed red peppers and stuff. I like the taste, the spark, what it does once when you start really building up your microbiome. Red pepper, crushed red pepper, hot pepper in general, to say nothing about peppercorns. It really just adds some excitement to your gut, into your body. So, there you go. But I want you to think about what happened in the last 20 years. And really, you could even go back to, I would go back to 1994, 1995, but definitely in the last 20 years. And I want you, again, to remember what I just told you about the optometry concept of 2020 being perfect vision. Every year prior to 2020, starting in the year 2000, possibly even the year 1999, being another step closer to obtaining that clarity of where the problems are, what's possibly even where the solutions are, and what we need to keep in our minds as we're going forward through the next 2 decades. Because just as the last 20 years were important to getting clarity, the next 20 years are going to be important for implementing clear solutions. There is really going to be a degeneration, a massive degeneration that could be quite scary at some time over the next 10 years. And once when we come to the other side of it, which is really going to be around 2032, the world's going to be a lot better for it. But again, the next 10 years could be quite scary. I'm not looking forward to it. Now, there's going to be a lot of safe zones, and those safe zones are going to be zones where the seeds for new beginnings are going to come from. Every state in this country is going to have a safe zone. Every territory in this country is going to have a safe zone, and multiple, in fact. But from those places will come seeds of new beginning. Now, when we think about the seeds of new beginning, we have to understand the way we've been living is unsustainable. Not only is it unsustainable, but it is fundamentally anti-human, which should tell you something automatically. You remember about the whole concept of the artificial humans, which, by the way, I've been trying to find that book that Bobby Hemmett mentioned about artificial humans. I haven't found it yet. It's a damn shame because I want to read that book. But it's been anti-human. And over the next 10 to 12 years, that anti-humanism is going to come into conflict, deep conflict with the needs of the planet and the needs of what people want. In fact, this virus, I don't care where it started, ladies and gentlemen. I do not care where it started. Bill Gates will let it loose. I don't care. You know why I don't care? Because the ancestors used it. Mother Earth used it. And Mother Earth controls a lot of stuff on it. Even when, white folks tend to think that they're smarter than Mother Earth. They think that they overstep Mother Earth, that Mother Earth is nothing. They're stupid for that. Because, just as I was telling you before, the 4 strands of humans, at the lowest end is mankind. Just because a person is mankind doesn't mean that they can't be in a position of power. Doesn't mean that they can't be in a position of power. And if they are in a position of power and they are mankind, it doesn't mean that they just do things for, no reason at all. No, when they are spirit, their spirit can come from a bunch of different places, ladies and gentlemen. One of which is Mother Earth. Most of which is Mother Earth. But if Mother Earth wants to, at any time, breathe her will into that spirited being. And by the way, not all mankind is bad, but some of it is different. But if she wants to breathe her will into mankind at any time and have mankind do something that's going to be detrimental to the entire species for her benefit, she'll do it. And that's what this was. I don't care if it was some major conspiracy, don't care. Mother Earth had this thing under control immediately. She knew what she was doing. And this thing has completely revealed how empty and shallow this entire system is that has been constructed over the last 500 years for the world, but the last 5,000 years for Europeans. It has completely revealed how inept American politics are. It has completely revealed the absolute depravity in the black community when it comes to leadership. We don't have genuine leaders much anymore. All of this has to be taken care of. All of it. All of it. So, I asked the question, if you remember what happened in the last 20 years. And I mean that. because all of it is important. The last 4 presidents have been important. They started off with George W. Bush. Why? Why? Because the country wasn't ready for Al Gore. The country wasn't ready for Al Gore, and it's a shame, because Al Gore was going to be a pretty damn good president. There's this seeming decision that has been made at the upper echelons of the country, at the society, which seems to suggest if a party wins 3 or more presidential elections in a row, or more than 2 presidential elections in a row, whoever gets that 3rd term gets to do as much reform or whatever as they want. The last party that had a president that gained 3 consecutive terms were the Republicans. Ronald Reagan had 2, George H.W. Bush 1. Before that, it was FDR. Seriously. It was FDR. Hillary, threatened to be the first Democrat in since FDR to gain access to that club, and they were absolutely dead set on making sure she didn't win. Now, for reasons I'm not going to get into, we need to look at all these presidents as presenting something, including Hillary Clinton, may I say, presented something that's vital to our understanding of the world. So starting with George W. Bush, he showcased the emptiness and the fascistic leanings of the conservative movement. Then you had Barack Obama, the quintessential good black man. Massive mind, great wife, great children, very competent. Everything that white people say they want black people to be. Down to the mixed with white blood. They still hated him. There's a movie that I watched years ago for the first time back in like 2014 called A Soldier's Story. It was a very old Denzel Washington flick. And at the end of the movie, if you've never seen it, I'm not going to give it away, but at the end of the movie, this black character tells Denzel Washington, by the way, they're in the military, so he tells Denzel Washington, in accord to what has been happening in the military, he says something to the effect of, they always hate you. No matter what, in the end, they always hate you. And he told him that as a response to, how they treated him. He was a high officer in the military, and he was telling him, look, they hated me. They hate me. They still hate me. They're always going to hate me, and it has nothing to do with my actions. It's just because I'm black. It's a really good movie, y'all. It is a fantastic movie. But that's what we saw with Barack Obama. It's important to note here that John McCain, who ran obviously against Barack Obama in 2008. Look, and by the way, the Republicans weren't stupid. They knew they were going to lose. They knew they were not winning. They knew. And they knew not only because of polling, but because they knew they had messed up so badly, people were not going to vote for them. They knew. But John McCain was a throwback to an older age, to the 1970s. And he was a throwback to a time period when the the country was trying desperately, and I'm talking white people here, to deal with a lot of different truths. There's a book that I just got done listening to called The Invisible Bridge. A really good book, thick book, but it's a really good book. And in that book, he does an incredible psychohistorical analysis on the 70s and how so many things played into the psyche of Americans and what they revealed about Americans not wanting to deal with the realities that were presenting themselves, as a matter of course, for the fact that the United States was going into decline as an empire. If the U.S. wasn't an empire, if the U.S. was a democracy, if it would have stuck to democratic principles, the United States would have been a drastically different place. But they wanted to keep this old imperialist, colonialist concept, which is running rampant through capitalism, by the way. They wanted to keep it intact. And so they went into decline. John McCain threw back to that, and he lost. Mitt Romney, who is the son of a liberal Republican, a Northern Republican, who was far more progressive, as they say, than Mitt Romney ever thought about being. Mitt Romney represents a different archetype. He represents the greed is good archetype. He represents the I'm going to buy nursing homes and apartment buildings to jack up the rent, to pad my bill, to pad my profits. I'm going to buy nursing homes and cut the staff and cut the service and charge more for it just so I can have more money. He represents the hollow side of white people, and he lost. Now look, to be fair, he was going to lose. He was going to lose. The man has no charisma whatsoever. He was going to lose. But he lost partially, and I think Francis Cress Welsing's words really come back to haunt us when it comes to this. He lost because he wasn't racist enough. Donald Trump was racist enough, and he won. And he won. Donald Trump represents the true spirit in this country. And we need not fool ourselves. If it had not been for this pandemic, we'd be looking at a second term of Donald Trump right now. But Mother Earth knew we couldn't take it. She knew if we went through another 4 years of Donald Trump, it would have ripped this country apart so badly there wouldn't have been anything left of it. So we got Joe Biden. On Joe Biden, there was a revelation that came to me 2016? Maybe 2017? No, it was 2015. 2015. When I was hearing a lot of conversation about whether or not Joe Biden was going to run or not. And it was after his son had died. I saw something. And the ancestors explained to me what I was seeing. I saw Joe Biden sitting next to his son's bed. And Joe Biden was talking to his son. And his son said to him, "Dad, I need to ask you to do me a favor. And I need you to, do me a favor." And he goes, "Anything." And his son said, "Please don't run for president." And Joe Biden kind of sat back and was like, what do you, look, let's not talk about politics or anything like that, Let's just enjoy our time together. And he's like, "No, I need you to really do this. Promise me that you'll never run for president." And he goes, look, let's just, and the son goes, no, I need you to promise me that you'll never run for president. And Joe Biden goes, fine, okay, all right. No, don't worry about it. Relax. I will never run for president. And he goes, do you promise? He goes, I absolutely promise. And he laid back. And I remember when I saw this, this was in the early days of, these images coming to me. I remember going, why is this important? And they go, you'll see. Within a few months, Joe Biden announced that he would not be running for president. And I was listening to a report on it. And until the day I die, I'll swear this, man. I heard the woman say on the video, she talked about how, people who were around the vice president when his son was dying, said that he had promised the son that he wouldn't run, this time. And the ancestors go, no, he promised he wouldn't run totally. You remember? And I'm like, yeah, I remember. Well, he ran. Not last time, but this time. And he ran because he was pushed to. Ladies and gentlemen, even Joe Biden reflects a revelation, which I don't know yet what it's going to be, but I have a feeling that is going to be powerful. He reflects a revelation to all this. His son, as I could see, was concerned about his health. And he may have been right to be concerned about his health. That stated, again, Donald Trump is the real embodiment of the American character as it pushed across the country. And let me just say, I've said before that the word America, means ame, for the love of Rika, riches. That is how they spelled it. That is not how it was originally spelled. And the tribe where the name came from, spelled it drastically different and didn't even pronounce it America. It was more like Amaheka, like that, Amaheka. And the reason for it, there is power in the name. There is power in the name, America. And there was a bit of a space in between America, like that. But the European interpretation is going to come up against the Native American interpretation, and the Native American interpretation is going to win. Give me one couple of moments, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so I'm back, family. Apart from the presidents, this country over the last 20 years, and Phil Valentine talked about this, has gone through a process where all of the diseases have been brought to the surface so we can deal with them and so other people can deal with them. The problem now is, will they be curable without invasive surgery? And what I mean by invasive surgery is, in the Hopi mythologies, they state that the country who drops the gourd of ashes, the atomic bomb, will also have that gourd dropped on it. And that is the invasive surgery that I'm talking about. Now, what we have to realize is that book that I mentioned, The Invisible Bridge, it is clear that there is a group of people in this country, very large group of people, by the way, and they range from people at the ground level to people in the government, who are very much imperialists. They do not understand that you just can't go around invading and taking people over just for the fun of it. They don't understand that. How then this country is going to deal with them is going to play a major part in determining how severe the punishment is going to be in order to get the United States to back off from being that way. And there may come a time in the very near future, I'm talking about, I was going to say 2 to 4 years, but it'll probably be significantly more than that. When there is going to be invasive surgery, meaning you might have somewhat of a land war in this country, whether it's civil war, which is, there's a huge possibility of that at the middle and end of this decade, or a war with some power from the outside who then actually gets a foothold here. Now, both Germany and Japan thought they had the firepower to do that. They didn't. But the two countries that the United States is currently picking a fight with, Russia and China, do have the firepower and the people to do that. The U.S. currently has something like 3.5 million people in its armed forces. Yeah. China has quite a bit more, to say the least. And they are set up like the U.S. was set up in World War II. Meaning the U.S. in World War II had just an absolutely amazing, impeccable production network in its borders. So how we were able to ramp up production so quickly was because everything was here. Everything was here. Now, it's the opposite. We don't have that much manufacturing here. Everything is overseas. Everything. So, if China needs to rev up production for a fight with the U.S., it is in a better position than the U.S. is. And that's something to keep in your mind. No matter what these people tell you, China is in a better position to fight the U.S. than the U.S. is in fighting it. Unless they're looking to build manufacturing up really, really quickly. But again, it'll depend. It'll depend. Oh God, there's so much I want to talk about. You know, what I'm going to do, I'm going to end this here. And tomorrow, I'm thinking I'm going to do another one, a much more extensive one. I recorded a nearly hour-long video earlier, which has left me, I think, a little drained. But, yeah, I'm going to end this here and, try to get together tomorrow to do another one. I'll see you guys later. Peace.